My wife called me into her office with that smug little smile she saves for when she's about to ruin someone's day. "Congratulations, Jamie," she said, twirling a pin between her perfectly manicured fingers. "Your hard work paid off. I'm promoting my boyfriend Steve instead of you. He's more of a team player." There it was. Just like that. The line that detonated everything. Not even an ounce of shame in her voice. She said it like she was talking about lunch orders. My chest went cold, then hot. Not from the betrayal, I already knew. I had known for a while. The late-night texts, the hushed calls, the perfume that wasn't hers, the fake meetings that always ended past midnight. But this was her masterpiece of humiliation. I nodded, calmly, as if she hadn't just carved a hole through my ribcage. "Thanks for letting me know," I said, reaching into my bag and handing her the white envelope. She raised an eyebrow, clearly expecting a desperate plea or maybe some dramatic speech about loyalty. But I gave her none of that. "What's this?" she asked, already ripping it open. "My resignation letter," I replied. But that envelope, it held more than just 2 weeks' notice. It held everything. Every screenshot, every voice memo, the videos, the bank transfers, and the company's internal affairs policy stapled to the back, with her and Steve's names highlighted like neon warning signs. Her face twisted mid-sentence. Her lips stopped moving. Her eyes widened as they darted from one page to the next. She stood so fast her chair slammed into the wall behind her. "You went through my phone?" she hissed, now more bitch than boss. "You petty, spineless little." "I traced the company credit card receipts you both used to book that hotel in San Diego," I cut her off. "The one where you told HR you were doing strategic market analysis. You don't understand what this will do to me, Jamie." "No," I interrupted again, my voice like ice. "You don't understand what this already did to me." I stood and walked out of that office without looking back. But as I passed the glass wall of her fancy corner suite, I caught a glimpse of her through the reflection. She was holding her head in her hands. Steve was already walking in. He had no idea what was in that envelope either. I didn't wait to see her blow up at him. I had more important things to handle. The hardest part of betrayal isn't the act itself. It's the moment you realize the person you built your life with would burn your entire world down, just to keep her side warm. I took the elevator down to the lobby, each floor dinging like the countdown to freedom. I stepped outside into the crisp air, and it felt like I was breathing for the first time in years. It wasn't just that she cheated. It wasn't just that she was screwing that lazy idiot Steve behind my back. It was that she used our marriage, my loyalty, as a weapon to climb higher. And when she got there, she kicked me off the ladder like I was just some stepping stone. We met 7 years ago at a tech conference. Her name was Amanda. Sharp, stunning, dangerous, but in a way that made you lean in closer instead of running. I was the golden retriever to her black widow. God, I was such a fool. I should have seen it sooner. The way she always flirted with power. How she'd whisper sweet lies and wear tight dresses to every board meeting. The way she'd always talk down to me in front of her colleagues like I was just her underachieving husband. I thought she was just stressed. But the truth was simpler. She was a parasite in heels. And now, thanks to that envelope, her world was about to collapse in on itself. HR would receive the same packet I gave her. So would the board. So would the compliance office. And just for fun, I blind copied the regional VP who had a particular distaste for workplace entanglements. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. Because when someone sets fire to your soul, you don't beg them to stop. You make sure they burn too. As I drove home, I imagined the scene unfolding upstairs. Steve trying to smooth it over, Amanda spinning a web of half-truths and crocodile tears. But this time, it wouldn't work. The truth was out. And by the time I got home, I'd already received the first email. Subject line: Urgent. Internal Affairs Inquiry regarding Amanda Brooks. I parked the car, leaned back, and let myself smile for the first time in weeks. That smile didn't last, because what I found on our kitchen counter wiped it clean off my face. It was a note, scribbled in Amanda's handwriting. "Don't call me. I'm taking my things and staying with Steve. And don't even think about touching my closet. I'm coming back for it." She really thought she was going to walk away from this. She had no idea what else I had planned. I crumpled the note in my hand, my fingers shaking not from sadness, but from the fury coiled so tight inside me it felt like a second heartbeat. She didn't even have the guts to face me. Just a note, as cold as her tone the day she humiliated me in front of a dozen coworkers. I looked around the house. Our house. The one I spent weekends renovating while she worked overtime. The new backsplash in the kitchen, My hands. The polished floors. My labor. And the damn bed she probably shared with Steve while I was out busting my ass trying to build something we could both be proud of. The silence was louder than ever. I walked to the closet. Half of her things were gone already. Her designer shoes, the overpriced bags I paid for, and the red dress I knew she wore to that hotel conference. The one she said was a strictly professional event. What a joke. On the dresser, I saw her perfume bottle still sitting there. That sickly sweet jasmine scent she used every time she was about to lie. I picked it up, stared at it for a second, then chucked it across the room. It shattered like glass fireworks against the wall. I didn't even flinch. I needed air. I needed answers. I needed to know how far down this betrayal went. So I did something I'd never done before. I went through her laptop. She never let me touch it. Said it was confidential. I used to respect that. I used to trust her. But now? I didn't even hesitate. The password was still the name of her first dog. How fitting. She was loyal to no one, just like that mutt. And what I found? A hidden folder labeled Personal Docs. I clicked. Dozens of receipts. Travel plans. Conversations with Steve, some romantic, some disgusting, and others business-related. She was plotting to pitch a startup idea to the company, an idea I came up with during one of our late-night brainstorms. She took my words, my slides, my concept, and put Steve's name on the deck. My breathing turned shallow. My fists clenched. She wasn't just unfaithful. She was a thief. She stole my time, my ideas, my trust, my damn soul. And that smug smile in the office? That wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that she didn't even see me as a person anymore. I was just a stepping stone, a tool, something to use and discard once she found a shinier version. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing with Steve, saw her rolling her eyes behind my back, saw her in that office chair treating me like a joke, like a fool who didn't deserve respect, let alone honesty. Around 3 a.m., I got a call. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Jamie, came a voice. Male. Nervous. It's Craig. From finance. I sat up, alert. Craig was the guy who always avoided gossip, the one who kept his head down. What is it? I thought you should know. Amanda's trying to clean up her tracks. She's calling people, telling them not to open your envelope, saying it's fake. She's saying you're unstable. I laughed. A bitter, humorless sound. She's calling me unstable? I said. After she screwed her way into a promotion and stabbed me in the back? Yeah, well, people are opening the envelope anyway. And HR already reached out to me. They're launching an investigation. I hung up and sat in silence. Amanda wasn't just a liar. She was a manipulator to her core. She wasn't panicking because she lost me. She was panicking because I was finally standing up. And I wasn't done. I wrote an email. Short. Cold. To Amanda. You promoted your lazy boyfriend instead of me. But you forgot who taught him everything he knows. And you definitely underestimated what I'd do when pushed. Good luck explaining that resignation letter. Oh, and tell Steve to enjoy the spotlight while it lasts. He's next. I clicked send. Then, I opened the files one last time. There was a video I hadn't watched yet. One Amanda must have recorded by accident. She was at dinner with Steve, giggling, whispering to him. He still thinks I love him, she said. It's adorable. Jamie's too boring to matter. Steve chuckled, smug. You gonna leave him? I already did. He just doesn't know it yet. That was recorded 3 months ago. 3 months. So all this time, every hug, every fake smile, every I love you, she was already gone. I stared at the screen, and for the first time, I didn't feel rage. I felt something worse. Nothing. That was the scariest part. Not the betrayal, not the lies, not the humiliation. It was the hollow silence that took root inside me. A silence where love used to be. Where warmth lived. Where her laughter echoed and I used to feel like a man who mattered. Now? Nothing. For days, I moved on autopilot. I didn't answer her texts. Yes, now she was texting. After the panic set in. After she realized her plan wasn't bulletproof. She sent 3 in a row, one more desperate than the last. Jamie, can we talk? I didn't mean for it to go this way. You're overreacting. Overreacting. As if discovering your wife had been sleeping with a coworker and sabotaging your career wasn't cause for a full-blown reaction. I didn't reply. I packed my things instead. Clothes. Laptop. My grandfather's watch. Left everything else behind. I didn't need the furniture or the walls we painted together. or the bed she used to fake affection in. Let her have it. I booked a small Airbnb outside the city, some quiet town with bad reception and better whiskey. I needed time to breathe, to bleed without anyone watching. And that's when it started. The fallout. I got a call from Ashley, the HR manager. She didn't even try to hide the tension in her voice. Jamie, we've opened a formal investigation. Steve's on administrative leave. Amanda, she's been suspended pending review. The board is involved. I didn't say much, just nodded into the phone. Then came the second call. A reporter. Apparently someone had leaked part of the internal memo. Someone in PR was trying to bury it, but the story was juicy. Executive affair leads to internal shakeup at prestigious tech firm. They didn't name names yet, but they would. And Amanda knew it. The next message from her was different. You've ruined me. Are you happy now? I'm being harassed. Steve's freaking out. I can't go to work. My reputation is ruined. That one, I responded to. Good. And then, just as I was finally starting to feel the closure settle in like ash after a fire, the knock came. It was past midnight. I opened the door expecting the owner of the Airbnb. Instead, there she stood. Amanda. Hair messy. Makeup smeared. That high-end coat half slipping off her shoulder like she ran through a storm. Jamie. She whispered, voice trembling. Please. Let me explain. I stepped aside. Not because I forgave her. Because I needed to see it. The train wreck. The unraveling. I needed to look into the eyes of the woman who once vowed to love me forever and see what kind of monster had taken her place. She stepped in slowly, eyes scanning the room. Like she thought I had someone else with me. Typical. You have 5 minutes, I said, sitting down on the armrest of a worn-out chair. She stood in the middle of the room like a ghost. I made a mistake, she began. I didn't blink. I thought I wanted more excitement, more power. I thought Steve could give me that. I thought you were too comfortable. Too safe. Safe. She said it like an insult. I let her talk. She babbled about confusion, pressure, imposter syndrome, how she didn't plan to fall for Steve, but it just happened. She cried, but I saw through it. She always cried when cornered. Her tears were currency. She stepped closer. I still love you, she said, reaching out. And that's when I laughed. Loud. Sharp. Ugly. You love me? Amanda, you took everything I gave you and burned it to the ground. You embarrassed me, you cheated on me, you stole my idea, and you promoted your little plaything over me, and you call that love. She flinched. You were never going to leave him, I said. You were going to keep me around. Until I stopped being useful. And now that the walls are caving in, suddenly I'm the man you love? Jamie. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did. She dropped to the floor. For real this time. Not fake tears. Not crocodile sadness. Just collapse. I don't know who I am anymore, she whispered. I looked at her, really looked. And all I saw was someone I used to know. You have to leave, I said. Her eyes widened. Please. No. Leave. Now. Before I remember all the things I still want to say. She stood slowly. Her knees shaky. She opened the door, paused like she wanted one last word. But I gave her none. And when the door closed behind her, I stood there in the dark, staring at the silence. Not empty anymore. Just clean. I didn't sleep after she left. I just sat there, staring at the floor like it could offer answers I hadn't already torn out of her mouth. Her voice still echoed in the corners of the room. That same manipulative softness she used when she wanted something: money, attention, forgiveness. Only this time, she didn't get what she came for. The next morning, I packed my things again. I didn't feel like hiding anymore. I didn't feel like grieving her, either. She wasn't worth grief. She wasn't worth anything anymore. On my way out, I checked my phone. 27 missed calls. Amanda. A few from Steve, too. Probably realizing that when the ship sinks, rats drown, too. I deleted them all. But one message made me stop. It wasn't from either of them. It was from Craig. Again. Thought you should know. Steve just got terminated. Amanda's hearing is today. Word is, legal's involved. I didn't reply. But I smiled a little. Not out of joy. Out of justice. Out of knowing that when you play dirty in the dark, you eventually choke on your own mud. Back in the city, the first thing I did was drive by our old house. I didn't go in. Just sat outside for a minute, engine running, music low. The curtains were drawn. Her car was gone. Probably staying at some hotel now, burning through her savings and excuses. I dropped the key off with the courier. I didn't want to see her again. Not in that setting. Not as a shadow in a home I once called ours. I moved into a small loft across town. Open brick, quiet neighbors, no framed wedding photos. It felt good. Empty, but in a peaceful way. Like cutting out a tumor. Painful, but necessary. A few nights later, I got a knock. Not Amanda. It was Ellie. Ellie worked with Amanda. We weren't close, but we talked at office parties. She had this no-nonsense attitude that I respected. And she always looked at Amanda like she knew more than she let on. "I'm sorry for showing up like this," she said, standing in the doorway holding a manila folder. "But I thought you deserved to know." She handed me the folder. I opened it. Emails. Memos. Printouts. Internal complaints. "She tried to blame it all on you," Ellie said, her voice low. "Said you were controlling. That you forged documents. She thought if she painted you like a bitter husband, people would dismiss your evidence." My jaw tightened. Did it work? No. HR found inconsistencies. Steve folded. "Amanda, well, she's suspended indefinitely. They're negotiating a severance deal to make her leave quietly. She won't be back." Ellie paused. "She said some pretty horrible things about you, Jamie. But people didn't buy it. You're not invisible, you know." That hit me harder than I expected. "You're not invisible." It stuck with me. Like a thread I didn't know I needed to pull. After she left, I sat with the folder for hours. Going through each lie, each email, each little web Amanda had spun. And with every page, something inside me started piecing itself back together. I wasn't the problem. I wasn't the villain in her story. She just needed one. And when I stopped playing my part, her whole fiction collapsed. 2 weeks passed. Then came the final blow. A certified letter from Amanda's lawyer. She wanted a settlement. Said she deserved part of the assets, compensation for emotional distress, and demanded I remove my complaints from the company file to avoid further damage to her reputation. I laughed. Then I scanned the letter, wrote "denied" in red Sharpie, and mailed it back. She chose this war. She underestimated the man she betrayed. I never heard from her again. And the silence? It was beautiful. Life got simpler. My mornings were mine again. I stopped flinching when my phone buzzed. I started running again, cooking for myself, reading at night without wondering when she'd walk through the door pretending to care. I met new people, reconnected with old friends who had seen the cracks in our marriage long before I did. No one said, "I told you so." They didn't have to. The fact I was standing again, that was enough. The wound was still there, sure, but it stopped bleeding. It became a scar. And scars don't hurt when you touch them. They remind you what you survived, who you are now. The first time I saw Amanda again was by accident. It was a month later. I was grabbing coffee at a place near the old office, something I hadn't done in weeks. The barista had just handed me my drink when I heard her voice behind me. That fake cheerful tone she always used when she wanted people to think she was someone she wasn't. I didn't turn around. Not right away. I didn't need to. I'd recognize that voice in a crowd of 1,000. But curiosity is claws. I turned. She looked tired. Not physically. Her hair was still styled, makeup perfect, clothes expensive. But her eyes, they had this glassy, hollow look, like someone who was smiling through a funeral. She froze when she saw me. "Jamie," she said, voice dropping a few decibels. I didn't say anything, just nodded once, polite, cold. She stepped closer, hesitating like she thought maybe we were still on speaking terms. Like maybe enough time had passed for the ground to settle. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Her nervous tick. She always did that before a lie. I took a sip of my coffee. "Didn't expect to see you either. You still around?" "I'm in transition," she said carefully. "Consulting for now. Nothing permanent. You know how it is." I knew exactly how it was. She was blacklisted from every decent firm in the region. No one wanted a PR disaster wrapped in red lipstick and sexual misconduct allegations. "And you?" she asked, forcing a smile. "Have you been?" I almost laughed. "Have I been?" "I've been free," I said. Her face twitched. "Look, Jamie. I've been meaning to talk to you. Really talk. I know things got out of hand, and no." She blinked. "What?" "I'm not doing this," I said. "I'm not sitting here letting you play the regret card just because your house of cards finally collapsed. You got exactly what you wanted. You chose Steve, you chose your pride, and you burned me in the process. That's your story now. Live in it." People were starting to glance over. Her face flushed. "You don't have to be cruel," she whispered. "Cruel?" I raised an eyebrow. "Amanda, You told an entire company I was mentally unstable just to protect your boyfriend. You tried to kill my career. You cheated, lied, and humiliated me, and you think I'm cruel for not wanting to play pretend in a coffee shop. She looked away, lips trembling. I think she expected me to fold, to soften, to let her back in, even for a moment. I didn't. You should go, I said. She turned without another word and walked out. I stood there for a minute, heart racing, but not from pain, from release. It was done, really done. The weight of her betrayal had been dragging behind me for months, and in that moment, it finally detached. I walked out into the street, the sun breaking through clouds like it was waiting for this exact second. Weeks passed. I got a new job, smaller firm, better people. They didn't care about the headlines. They cared about results. And I gave them results. I even started dating again. Slowly, carefully. No illusions. No rushing. Just conversation, laughter, honesty. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. And one night, I found myself sitting across from someone who didn't know Amanda, who didn't know my history. She asked what I'd been through. I told her just enough to be honest, but not enough to bleed all over the table. When I finished, she smiled gently and said, "You must have loved her a lot." I nodded. "Yeah," I said. "I did. And now?" I looked out the window, then back at her. Now I love myself more. That was the real win. Not the resignation letter. Not Amanda's suspension. Not Steve's firing. It was remembering who I was before her, rebuilding from ash, and realizing that surviving someone like her wasn't weakness. It was strength. It was peace. It was finally mine. It was around that time I started sleeping through the night again. No tossing, no waking up in cold sweats, no dreams of catching her in lies or hearing her laugh from another room with a voice I no longer recognized. Just rest. A full breath, a clear head. My chest didn't feel tight in the mornings anymore. The house didn't creak with her absence. It just sounded like a place where I lived now. The girl I'd been seeing, Melissa, was kind, quiet. The kind of person who listens like it's an art form. She never pushed, never asked questions I wasn't ready to answer. We met at a bookstore of all places. She was holding a copy of East of Eden. I made a comment about how Steinbeck ruins people in the best way, and she smiled like I'd just said something profound. It felt real, natural. The first time she spent the night, she noticed the photo frame on my nightstand still held the default picture it came with. A smiling couple and their golden retriever. "Don't have any pictures of your own?" she asked, almost playfully. I shook my head. "Not ones I want to wake up to." She didn't ask more. Just turned the frame around. That night, when she fell asleep, I sat there in the dark staring at that blank wood. Not sad, not nostalgic, just staring like it was a mirror. Amanda and I never had real photos around the house. Too busy, too perfect to be bothered. We took staged shots at events, posed vacations, selfies with filters that erased all the tension. Nothing candid, nothing raw. Melissa moved like she'd lived through her own kind of storm, too. She didn't flinch when I hesitated to hold her hand in public. She didn't take it personally when I spaced out mid-sentence. She just waited for me to come back. And I always did. One day, I got a text from an unknown number. "Jamie, it's Steve. Of all people. I know you probably hate me. I deserve it. I just wanted to say, she did the same thing to me." I didn't respond. Not because I didn't believe him, but because I did. Of course she did. Amanda didn't care about love. She cared about control. The second Steve stopped being useful or fun, she probably flipped the same switch she used on me. He sent one more message. I lost my job, my apartment, everything. I just wanted to say, I get it now. I'm sorry. I stared at that message for a long time, then deleted it. Not because I forgave him, but because I had no space left in me for people who only understand pain once it hits their own front door. Forgiveness isn't owed. It's earned. And neither of them had done anything to earn it. Amanda did try again, a few weeks later. This time through a mutual friend. Rachel, the one who used to defend Amanda like she was the second coming of Marie Curie. She showed up uninvited at my office. "She's a mess, Jamie," Rachel said, standing in the hallway like she had every right to be there. "She's not eating. She barely leaves the apartment. She lost everything." I looked her dead in the eye. She lost what she chose to gamble. She says she wants to apologize properly. She already did. With lies. She's not lying anymore. And I'm not listening anymore. Rachel sighed. She made a mistake. No. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. She orchestrated a betrayal. Repeatedly. Systematically. That's not a mistake. That's character. I walked away without another word. That's the thing about truth. Once you've been burned by a lie, you start checking everything for fire. And Amanda? She was a walking arsonist. By summer, the pieces of my life had clicked into place again. A new job where I was valued. A woman who didn't treat love like a business transaction. A home that finally felt like mine. Not ours. Not hers. Mine. I even started volunteering, mentoring college kids trying to break into the tech world. It felt good to teach again. To give, without someone trying to twist it into a weapon. Sometimes, I'd catch myself thinking about Amanda. Not with longing. Just curiosity. Like hearing a song you used to hate on the radio and realizing it doesn't even affect you anymore. Just background noise. I don't hate her anymore. But I don't miss her either. Some people teach you what love is. Others teach you what love should never be. Amanda did the latter. And for that, I'm finally, quietly grateful. The real closure didn't come with revenge. It didn't come when Amanda lost her job, or when Steve finally realized he'd been used like a chew toy. It came in a moment so small, I almost missed it. I was walking through the grocery store, looking for Melissa's favorite almond milk, unsweetened vanilla, always on the top shelf, and a woman passed by wearing Amanda's perfume. That same jasmine scent I used to associate with everything soft and intimate. The smell of late-night conversations, of fake apologies, of her walking out the door for business trips. But this time, it didn't stop me. No jolt to the chest. No rush of memories. Just a smell,